field of architecture and design evolves, continuously adapting to contemporary needs and preferences. Creativity's language is ever-changing, transforming. And that is exactly why, to answer the question, what does the future hold, we have none other than, let's begin with our session. Our special guest, architect James Law, CEO of Cybertecture. Again, for the 17th time now, all the way from Hong Kong. Mr. Law, stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So good morning once again, and thank you very, very much for having me here. First of all, I'd like to give great compliments to the women architects of the world. I actually trained under a woman architect, Itsuko Hasegawa, in Japan. From her and from all the women in my life, I have learned so much about what is important, where our emphasis for a good life should be. So once again, thank you to all the women, especially the women architects who guide us. Thank you so much. So today, I'd like to share with you something which I hopefully will have some wisdom, just like our previous speaker, Architect Barry, said. But my wisdom, I hope, is something that points towards the future. Can I have the slides, please? So I'm James Law, CEO of Cybertecture, and we call ourselves Cybertecture because we see ourselves like the SpaceX of architecture. We want to invent the future for us. And in fact, the future of architecture is really defined by one simple thing, which I really believe in. The most important quality that we have as architects is our time. Time is the most important essence. And in fact, architecture, all of us as architects, we are creating a kind of time machine. The architecture that we build is defining the journey into our future in a way that is so very important. So today my talk is Architecture 2.0 is our time machine to the future. Remember, every bit of concrete we pour, every piece of glass we put into place, every wire we put around us defines our future. So we are actually building time machines. So the time machine needs to have courage. It needs to look into the future with the wisdom that we have spoken about by the previous speaker, but also with the audacity to reinvent what is possible. This is a city for 7 million people in Saudi Arabia. It is the new and future Riyadh city that we have been reinventing for the city as they look towards the future. A city that is completely different, a city that is decentralized, a city not created out of streets, districts, central business districts, residential zones, but one which is distributed using technology, using higher levels of management to create a city that produces its own food, creates its own water, generates its own energy, and infinitely can grow without creating the normal urban problems that we face. This city is a time machine. It is a piece of cybertecture that redefines what a city can be. You may say this is science fiction. I tell you, this is everything possible. A few years ago, we did not believe that we can be passengers on a rocket to space for tourism. Today we can. Now we have AI helping us manage our daily lives. That was science fiction a while ago. Cities like this will be possible. And let me show you what it looks like. In order to inhabit 10 billion people on our planet, we need a new urban model, created out of megastructures that take care of different categories of work, different categories of life, different cultural subjects in the city. In between these megastructures are connected with a new autonomous transportation system, utilizing things like the Hyperloop. And the spaces in between, we try to reinvent a second nature, one that has forests, one that has reservoirs, ones that have solar farms. that creates a necessary carbon-free cycle of energy that will drive the city of tomorrow. No more burning fossil fuel. No more knocking down our rainforests. This is the future of how we can power our cities. In fact, are we looking too far ahead? No. We are going to be approaching 10 billion people by the end of this decade. We have massive climate change. We have serious health risks. We have a lot of geopolitical instability. Architects have a role to play to create the time machines to the new normals of the future. So when we look at architecture, we look at it bravely as a reinvention of structure, as a reinvention of scale, as a reinvention of construction, as a reinvention of urban space, as a reinvention of nature. How what we build no longer destroys the nature around us, but augments and helps it heal. So this kind of urbanity is something where we don't have to be afraid of. The wisdom that the previous speaker spoke about will drive this kind of urbanity. Now, we really know that the cities that we have built around the world have serious legacy issues. So we need to invent new kinds of cities. The sea level is rising around the world. In fact, this problem presents the greatest opportunity for urban design that the century's ever seen. The rising tidal levels allow us to create tidal cities. This is a design we are doing for NEOM in Saudi Arabia, where an entire city of 80 hectares is able to be fully driven for energy from the tidal changes. It's created out of a dam that is V-shaped, reaching out towards the sea, and as the sea level changes, it powers the city. Inside the city, you may expect the usual buildings and districts and hotels. No, we see it differently. This is a city not just for human beings, but also for nature. The human beings live in the dam, connected by high-speed autonomous transportation, but in the center, we recreate something like a Noah's Ark, a habitat for the reinvigoration of nature, where the species of the planet, both in terms of vegetation and animal life, are reintroduced into the city. The net effect of this, especially in a place like Saudi Arabia, is that we reinvigorate the greenification of Saudi Arabia, where Saudi Arabia, more than 100 years ago, was actually quite green. Now we're beginning this process with such a kind of innovative cybertecture city. And we believe that this will lead to a new kind of living. We will live in touch with our trees, with our animals, with the fauna around us. We will smell nature again, and we will breathe oxygen that is fresh. This is the power of the time machine. This is the power of cybertecture. To think big, to think brave, not to leave behind, of course, our valuable culture and the wisdoms of the past, but to see the future as an opportunity for us to solve our problems, to create something that we are proud of in the next millennium, that we have been proud of in the last millennium, but we are coming to the end of that cycle. So, the audacity to solve problems is at the heart of our work. The courage to see things differently is what powers our innovation. This is a project we're doing with Airbus at the moment called Silver Clouds. So many parts of the world around us now is suffering from solar gain. It's too hot. So this floating, self-autonomous flying drone system, which creates clouds, can create shelter and shade for different cities and regions around the world as the world heats up. They have a photovoltaic film on these floating clouds that generate energy and broadcast the energy down to Earth using microwaves. But more or less, It is a kind of re-terraforming destroyed planet that we have already really taken a toll on our nature with. And so, is this architecture? Yes, it's architecture 2.0. It is an architecture that reactivates our land. Just like when we build a house or a building on a site, we respect the site. Now we respect it through levitation, through floating on top. Here, a simulation in the Saudi Arabian desert. These clouds, these silver clouds, create a kind of shade that creates new areas for oases, for wadis, for agriculture, that you could not actually activate before on our planet's surface because it's gotten too hot. This is cybertecture. And this kind of alluding to nature being connected to technology means that we have a new generation of projects coming up where all our buildings are actually synchronized technologies that mimic nature. You can see this kind of architecture. This is a project of ours in Africa. This is where all of the houses actually lives and breathes, collects water, have pseudo-photosynthesis processes, recycles its own resources. We have the opportunity to integrate our invention, our technologies into the fabric of architecture to create architecture 2.0, a second nature. And the vocabulary of the architecture will be so stunningly new, it will no longer just be about form. It will be about how it lives and breathes on our planet. And so we're really excited about this kind of development, where cybertecture takes architecture through this time machine, that we really look towards our architecture to create more, to see our architecture actually empowering and working with nature together. In fact, we cannot go back in time. We can only go forward in time. We cannot go back to being Stone Age people where the planet was untouched. But we can, as a species, through our creativity and our architecture, reinvent our position in nature. So, moving on to some more humble things, is that apart from the big ideas, some of the big ideas are the really small ideas. How to create affordable housing for people around the world. This is a robotic house we are building now. We can create 22,000 of them a year from our automated factory in China. The entire thing's created out of using robots, and it's less than 20,000 US dollars per house. And these houses can be deployed anywhere in the world. They have their own solar systems, they have their own water recycling systems, they have their own cooling systems, which really makes this architecture something which is very, very self-dependent and can really create shelter for people to live. And so we're really also excited about that. And the rate at which we can build them, we built a 1.5 million square feet in 45 days using this system in China. So speed is also one of the things that time machines need to have. Einstein said if we can go faster than the speed of light, we can travel back in time. Now, if we go faster than the speed of light, we can go forward in time. The whole structure and the paradigm of how we use our planet, how we use our land will change. This is a project we're doing in the South Pacific. It's a real island, part of the Vanuatu chain. And this project is called Satoshi Island. And Satoshi Island manages the land using the next generation technology, which is the blockchain. What we do is we create a NFT-based system around the sites. Each plot can be bought using crypto. And using the metaverse, you can design your own house and have it manufactured from our automated factory, and we ship it to Satoshi Island for you. The entire real estate system changes. There is no more land deeds. There's no more interaction with banks. There is a direct kind of shared collective creativity around the island. and then it is managed through a DAO. So a digital, decentralized, autonomous organization. And so I really believe that in the future, countries, as they develop their cities, will be much more efficient like this, much more secure, and much more intelligent. So these are the houses when they are built, and they'll be delivered to the island after you've designed them yourself, creating a next generation of self-designed architecture that previously maybe you could not participate in. So I end my talk now back at the beginning. So sometimes people say time goes in a loop, and it really does in this talk as well. I want to bring us back to that beginning, where the future of architecture is infinite. The speed at which you approach it is your opportunity to create your time machine. The courage and the vision to think big, to tackle the problems that we face in a way that in which we can change the rules and not just follow the old rules, is essentially what cybertecture is all about. Thank you very, very much for having me today. Thank you.
Requesting Ms. Vatika Dwivedi to present Architect Law with a token of our appreciation. Thank you so much for your time. We cannot stress that enough. Thank you so much for your time and the efforts.